ahead, Judy. I'll take it.
Not at all. Steve.
Okay.
1200
West is racing.
We were 3300 West.
Just beyond Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Were you born?
One at Holy Cross Hospital. Grew up there, so I lived at New York.
Reading your book. Something about this.
Right. I spent a number of years in there. Get your picture taken inside the flames.
When he would get nervous, his lip, like right here, would dry up.
Up and down.
So his lip would get
For sure, I saw those clouds earlier were going to get rained on.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Turned out to be a nice night, though.
Where are you guys located?
South Bend, Indiana.
South Bend. You ever do much at Crown Point, the old jail?
We've got a few things down there.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. That jail's really haunted.
Oh, yeah. We got to go in there. They do a haunted house in there every year, so we got in there full access to it.
Uh-huh.
That was fun.
I'm trying to get it open up to meet my tours on a regular basis, but they don't want to. They don't want to work.
Mm-hmm.
They want to only open up 2 hours every Saturday morning. Big deal.
Yeah.
Doesn't do me any good. Back in the old days when it was individuals that owned it, restaurant tours, it was a lot of fun to work with back in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
would want to change that.
Yeah, right, that's the source.
Yeah.
Right. It still grows, but
Dandy.
it didn't turn out so great, so I just flew off the farm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So have you ever seen a ghost yourself?
Long Beach is coming up next. Okay, go back to Halstead so we can do more about Maxim Street. Yep.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, true.
Buddy system, we all back, buddies?
Yes.
Okay. We'll double back to Halstead, and remember we've gone through Greektown, the Italian area, now we're going to go through Jewtown, the outdoor markets for 135 years. Folks, growing up around Chicago, if you weren't here back in those days, that was the most fun for a kid to go on Sunday for the outdoor markets, to have a Maxwell Street Polish sausage, a grilled Polish and a hot dog bun, yellow mustard, grilled onions, pork peppers on the side, to see gypsy violinists, gypsy fortune tellers, gypsy pickpockets, to hear the blues played for free. None of this going to a club and paying a cover nonsense. Do you know that the electric guitar was actually invented here in Chicago so that bluesmen could plug into a shop front and attract the crowd for a merchant? That's the origin of the electric guitar right here in Chicago. And of course we had Nate's Delicatessen, which was first of all, a Jewish delicatessen, later bought out by one of the employees, a black guy who could speak perfect Hebrew, or Yiddish, excuse me. And that was later the Soul Cafe in the movie The Blues Brothers. Then there was the hubcap guy at Maxwell and Halstead. You'd go there and buy a hubcap, go back to your car, find out you'd eat 3 more. Those were the days. And gangsters in the area included Jacob Rubenstein, who moved to Dallas, Texas to run a strip joint for the mob. And by that time shortened his name to Jack Ruby and went Pop Lee Harvey Oswald. But when you get up here to Maxwell Street, you won't find any signs telling you any of this. Once again, the city of Chicago has cultural amnesia about this. Really sad, because this is really vibrant history that we're ignoring and forgetting. Sadly, a few years ago, the whole area was gutted, rebuilt for 6-figure townhouses and condos. So the original people were thrown out here. I was called by a group I did a tour for a few years ago, and they said, you know, we're a zero tolerance company. Well, okay. We didn't like what you said on your tour. What was that? Well, I disparaged yuppies. Because I said it's really a shame that the original Jews, blacks, Hispanics, gypsies, other people that were living here were all displaced to make way for a bunch of yuppies who could afford the expensive housing. I don't know, folks. I'd rather side with the above, not the latter here, huh? So, oh well. Hope you're not part of that politically correct crowd. Drive me nuts. All right. Let's take a left on Halstead. It's really sad to go by and see the place when you know what it used to be, but all that history contained here, at least they should put some historical markers up. In fact, even the Polish sausage stands are now exiled to the frontage road there along the expressway because the yuppies didn't want the smell of frying onions 24/7. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Nothing like a pork chop sandwich or a Polish sausage at 3 and 4 in the morning. You're coming home after getting a load on, right, Gaston?
Yeah. Right.
Not that we would drink, but nice to know it's there when you need it. St. Francis of Assisi Church out there to the right, by the way, was a German church, and that's where Cardinal George's family would worship. The reason there were so many churches in the area is because each ethnic group had their own church. So you might have a Catholic church one at the block, one at the other, but they might be, you know, Germans at one end, Italians at the other, and, you know, you don't mix, you know, and so you got to support your own ethnic group. That's how things were back in the good old days. A lot of history. That's Roosevelt, named after not Franklin but Teddy, the real President Roosevelt. And coming up now to Maxwell Street, I want you to eyeball to the right. In the distance across the park will be the Maxwell Street Detective Station. You might know it better because in most recent years it was the building used in the opening scenes of Hill Street Blues. They filmed Blues Brothers around here, Backdraft, Next of Kin, other famous movies. Eyeballs to the right, and here's historic Maxwell Street, what's left of it. Jamba Juice used to be the Polish sausage stand. Caribou Coffee was the hubcap location. But now, we'll proceed further south and on our way into Chinatown. When was the last time you were in Chinatown? I know, you don't get out much. All right. All right, Chinatown is a great neighborhood. And it started actually after the turn of the century. Many Chinese began to come here in large numbers after the San Francisco earthquake and fire because the epicenter of that was Chinatown out on the Pacific coast. And when they got here, the Chinese cut a deal with the Italians, as they often do. And Chinatown began as part of the old Italian district on Wentworth between 22nd and 26th. When the Chinese got here and settled, they were shocked to find out a little bit later that they were on top of an Indian burial ground. Oh well, they use feng shui to cope with that. You know, usually living on top of a cemetery would be bad luck, but you can use feng shui. What's feng shui? It's literally wind and water. It's a Chinese method of living in balance and harmony with your surroundings. In feng shui,